Dr. Shabir, welcome to Let the Quran Speak.
My pleasure to be on.
Saudi Arabia has introduced a new application process for people applying for Hajj from Canada, the United States, basically Europe, the Americas, and Australia. And Dr. Shabir, it came as quite a surprise to people because it was just a few weeks before Hajj was supposed to begin, and suddenly people, had to apply anew. People who had already put down payments with travel agencies now had to switch and apply on a website. So what are your thoughts on this new process, Dr. Shabir?
Yeah, the suddenness of it is really surprising. And of course, it gives rise to a lot of, scrambling to get things in order for that. The offer of, lower prices by cutting off the middleman, cutting out the middleman, that sounds good. Whether that will be maintainable, sustainable in the long run is questionable. And some people have a question also about the portal, like how effective is this portal? Is it working well? Some people are having difficulty with the credit card payments over the portal. Some people wonder about who is behind this portal, where is it put together, in which country. Some people who signed up initially for the lottery started getting mysteriously advertisements from some skincare company.
I read about that, yes.
Yeah. So that gives rise to the question of data protection. How protected is your data after it is inputted into the system?
So, Dr. Shabir, let's talk about what traditionally happens. So traditionally, people go with a travel agency, right? And there are many Hajj travel agencies. Some of them are better than others. So people will put a down payment with a travel agency, or they'll pay altogether at a certain point. And then they apply, and then they get accepted. And then they go with the travel agency to Hajj. So they have a guide there who takes them around and tells them, at this step you do this, at that step you do this. And also they have everything provided. So their airfare will be provided. When they get there, their hotel, every single aspect, their food, for example. It's not like they have to dish out extra money to be able to enjoy the Hajj. So that all changes with this new portal and this new application process, Dr. Shabir.
Yes, of course, various travel agencies would have offered different facilities and perks with their packages. And of course, all of this need to be declared up front. And the savvy traveler would check with various agencies and find out the details of their package. Are you providing the meals? What kind of meals? When is it going to be? Is it going to be an open buffet meal? What sort of meal are you providing? Which airline are we most likely to travel on? Are there going to be stopovers, or are we going to go on a direct flight? So you have access to the local travel agent, and you can compare prices and services before you finally book with one or the other. And in an open market system where there are no controls, what will control the price is the forces of demand and supply. And we know from economics that if the market is free, then the price will eventually settle on an equilibrium. Because if there is $1 to be made, somebody else will enter into the market to offer the services to make that dollar until there is no dollar to be made anymore. If one needs to make money, they go somewhere else, like into a different industry. They offer a different service because with this service, there's not going to be more. It's almost like, let's say a store opens up and they're selling product A. Well, and they're making a lot of money. So more and more stores will open up selling product A because they want to make that money too. But eventually, they don't have enough customers to go around to buy all of this product A from all of these different stores. So no more stores will open up. Stores will open up selling product B, and so on, because the price now levels off and there's no more money to be made. With more suppliers, the price goes down, and so on. So too with the open market system of allowing travel agents to offer their services. Of course, they're going to make a profit. That's natural because they're offering services. They're making a profit. And people always complain about the height of the prices and the rising prices. Of course, prices rise for a number of different reasons. But one always suspects that the travel agents are making a lot of money out of this. But the assurance we have is that once it's an open market, the price will eventually level off. Because somebody will come in to offer a slightly lower price and a slightly lower price and a slightly lower price until, they can't go any lower. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in business. Mm-hmm. And now, if everything is controlled by the Saudi government, and as is now apparently being proposed, and it's already put into effect, then one does not have this kind of free market economy in view. One has a monopoly, an oligarchy, actually. Where there's one supplier supplying it, and you just have to accept whatever they offer. And so far, what we have seen on offer from some of the information that has been minimally published does not give a lot of details. It leaves a lot of lacuna and confusions in the minds of people.
Yes, I think it's not clear, for example, like Canadians, how will they get to Saudi Arabia, right? It seems like beyond the package that's offered, they would have to take a flight to the US and then go to Saudi Arabia from there. So a lot of, confusion then, is Medina included, right? Medina is a city in Saudi Arabia that is not mandatory for the Hajj, but, a lot of people, since they're already there, they like to go to Medina. And it doesn't seem like in some of the packages, Medina is included. So there are other questions that people might have that might not be able to get an answer to.
Yes, and people will be surprised at the last moment and so on. So I spoke about the suddenness with which this was introduced. I would have thought that if I would have done something like that, if I had to think it, like, how would I do that? So I would think that, of course, I'm not an expert in that, but in contrast with the suddenness, I would have thought, okay, so let me, for the first year, do a pilot project, leave everything else as it's running, but as a pilot project, I take 1,000 pilgrims through this new registration process, see how it works, make sure everything is going well, there are no hiccups in the system and whatever. And then the next year we do 10,000, then the next year 100,000. And now we have a full scale system for perhaps 100,000 is what will be accepted from Europe, America, and Australia. If you're thinking of 1 million pilgrims, which is what their target is this year, as opposed to like 2.5 million pre-pandemic. Mm-hmm. But to suddenly introduce it like this, then the possibility of hiccups are there. Like people are having difficulties with the payment processing. Like one person complaining to the imams in the imams WhatsApp group says, I tried my Walmart credit card and then that didn't work. Then I tried my Costco CIBC credit card and then that one didn't work. And then I went back to the Walmart credit card and I increased somehow. Somebody said he increased the amount, but that still didn't work. And eventually he called. He tried his American Express. I think that's how he finally got it done. And then that too, he was having difficulty with till he had to call Payment Protection Services or something like that related to his credit card. Maybe because of the overseas transaction, it looked suspicious to the card company, and they were blocking it. But with his phone call, they approved it. Imagine, all of this, confusion and
on top of that, the Hajj application process is always confusing, right? Because you have to take, let's say, 2 or 3 weeks out of your schedule, right? So you have to make a lot of arrangements, for your children, for your work, for other responsibilities that you might have. Then you apply, you're not sure if you're going to be accepted. That's just a general system. So now suddenly all that is thrown out the window, right?
Yes.
The money that you might have deposited with the travel agency, mm-hmm. You don't know if you're going to get it back or when you're going to get it back. And then you're going to put new money into this new system, right? So it's all very difficult. I mean, I think maybe, it could be that in a few years, the system will be perfect, right? Mm-hmm. And it will be better than the current system that we've had, right?
Yes.
But right now, it just seems so overwhelming.
It's chaotic. And, if, it shows a certain level of lack of care on the part of those who have so suddenly implemented this system. Because I spoke with one of the travel agents who takes groups of people for Hajj and Umrah from Canada. And he explained to me that just up until recently, they were getting indications from the Saudi government that everything is fine this year after the couple of years of lockdown where they were only allowing local people to perform the Hajj. Now they're going to allow foreigners. So this year, things are proceeding as normal as though pre-pandemic. of course, with lower numbers of pilgrims being allowed than pre-pandemic. But so on this basis, the agents started to receive the money and passports from people depositing and getting ready to go with them for Hajj this year. And then suddenly they got this new directive, and they had to start returning the money and passports to people, because people will need that in order to log on to the new system. Now, in his case, it looks like he was able to return the money, but there are cases where the money will not be on hand, because when these agents get the money, they start booking hotels, they start booking flights and whatever. Of course, they're not going to book a specific flight for a person. They're going to book flights en masse. They're going to buy so many seats and so on. So their money is going to go in so many different directions, including, of course, their own administrative costs. So the Sky News in the UK put out a video, and they have an article too, it seems, but I haven't read the article. But listening to the video, they're saying that there are hundreds of tour operators in the UK that may suddenly go bankrupt as a result of this sudden move. So, these things have to be foreseen. It's very clear, if you're going to suddenly do this, by the time Ramadan is over, in our present circumstance now, as we are, where we are in the Islamic calendar at the moment, by this time people would have already, in normal times, have deposited their passports, paid their money. They already know what flight package and what group they're going with and all of that. So to call it at this stage, this is very late. It's very close. As you said, people need to organize their life and know if they're going or not going, and book their holidays and all of that, their vacation from work. But the important thing is to see that this fallout can happen. Like you don't drop an axe and let it fall on so many people all at once suddenly and not care about what's going to happen with them, right? All these tour operators going bankrupt. And these are people who have dedicated their lives to the service of religion. They are making a profit, no doubts about that. Otherwise, they might soon have to turn to something else. But some of them are sincerely doing it, profit or no profit. And even if the others are doing it for profit, nonetheless, they are serving a good industry, because there's so many things we can do with our lives, right? But somebody says, oh, you know what? I want to take people for Hajj. That's their dream. That's their vision. That's what they want to be proud of. That's what I do. And now suddenly the axe drops on them, and they're going to go bankrupt. That's not so very nice. And then the persons who deposited their monies with these travel agents, they may not get their monies back, because that's the whole thing about bankruptcy. The bankruptcy protection is going to protect the tour operators from having to repay what they cannot repay. And so the average Muslim on the ground is going to suffer a loss here. So, how do people make such irresponsible decisions at the higher level, not caring for how it's going to impact people on the ground? This is astounding. It's bewildering.
What's your advice, Dr. Shabir, for someone who's planning to go to Hajj this year and is, a little bit, as you said, bewildered and overwhelmed?
Well, if Allah blesses you to go to Hajj, then especially if that's the first time, then Mabruk to you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and take you there safely, and give you the Hajj Mabrur and bring you back safely as well. The Hajj Mabrur means like a righteous Hajj, one that is acceptable to God. But of course, you need to start right away, because the approval process is underway. Make sure that you are following the prescribed times, going to the lottery system while it is still open for you, and follow up with the registration and payment and whatever. But one of the most important things you'll need to do is to read up on the Hajj and watch as many videos about the procedures and all of that, so you know exactly what to do when you get there. Because previously, going with a group, with a local tour company, often meant that you had a tour guide with you, a Muslim scholar who knows all about the Hajj and can guide you along the way. And in addition, usually The Muslim scholars would be giving spiritual advice all along, and lectures and so on, so uplifting the person so that the whole thing is a spiritual experience from start to finish. But nonetheless, you need to at least cover the basics. So you need to know what is where and where you have to be and what sequence of doing things and so on. So study, because under these new packages which are being offered by the Mutawif, the authority in charge in Saudi Arabia for the Hajj and Umrah, it's not so clear what guide they will provide and how experienced and knowledgeable that guide will be. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help you.
And I guess do the best you can and trust in God that God will accept from you whatever you offer to God.
That's right. That's right. And of course, our prayers are with you.
Thank you for that, Dr. Shabbir.
You're welcome. Our videos reach people all over the world. We hope you will seize the opportunity to share in the reward from God. Please support us today.